A major police and MI5 investigation has allegedly led to the capture of the new IRA's high command on terrorism charges.
Keeping the public safe is at the heart of this operation.
An undercover agent apparently managed to infiltrate and embed for up to 20 years. Dennis McFadden will be the star witness in an upcoming trial. And for the first time, this programme can reveal this image of the man who slipped under Republicans' radar.
Oh, we never suspected, never.
But just how did he do it? Tonight, we shed light on the enigmatic double agent at the heart of the surveillance operation.
Dr. Basalart was clearly pestered by who we now believe was an MI5 agent.
Our story starts in a sleepy suburb of Edinburgh, where a GP has been charged under Section 5 of the Terrorism Act for allegedly being at a meeting of the new IRA. 62-year-old Dr. Issan Basalart has Palestinian heritage. He moved to the UK in 1995. He claims he believed he was attending a public meeting in Belfast to talk about Palestine, and initially headed there because he got a text from the passport office saying he should pick up his daughter's passport from there. His close family friend is speaking out for the first time because he wants people to hear Dr. Basalart's side of the story.
He liked to go to events and public meetings and raise the issue of Palestine.
So it would be quite normal for him to go to a public meeting somewhere, including Belfast?
Oh yes, absolutely, absolutely. And we were really puzzled, by the way, why he's been told to go and do the passport in Belfast. We have offices in Glasgow.
He's accused of something very serious, which is allegedly preparing for acts of terrorism. And the group that he is allegedly involved with are accused of being the new IRA. What do you think about that?
This is an innocent man. He will never plan or do anything violent. I think it must be a mistake.
Dr. Basalart says he was entrapped and lured from Scotland to Belfast by that undercover MI5 agent, Dennis McFadden. McFadden was on the national executive of a political party called CIRU, the Irish word for liberation. They're widely associated with the new IRA, which was formed by dissident Republicans in 2012. They reject the Good Friday Agreement.
Dennis McFadden called at his home, asked him to attend a public talk in Belfast for the purposes of raising the case of Palestine. Dr. Basalart declined the meeting because he had too much on that summer. Dennis McFadden persisted, offered him free accommodation, offered him free travel, and advised him that it would be a short talk and he could use it for a family holiday and to obtain his daughter's passport. That Saturday he spent with the children. On the Sunday, Mr. McFadden called and said you would only be away for 1 hour in Belfast. Mr. McFadden took him away.
They travelled 40 miles outside of Belfast to a meeting inside a supposed safe house in County Tyrone. This isolated house is where the MI5 agent brought Dr. Issan Basalart, and inside a meeting of the new IRA was allegedly taking place. But unbeknown to those attending, the property had been kitted out with cameras and recording devices. And what was recorded that day will now be used as a central part of the case against the 10 defendants. Why would he come to Belfast to meet someone he doesn't know that well and get in a car with him to go to a place that he doesn't know?
Dr. Basalart met Dennis McFadden in 2016. He met him for the purpose of addressing a meeting, and it was the establishment of a political party called CIRU. Dr. Basalart had no idea who they are, but at this time was accepting invitations to talk about Palestine to anybody.
Gavin Booth has seen transcripts of these recordings. He believes if they're made public, his client will be vindicated.
Everything that's contained within the transcripts and the recordings is about Palestine, is about peaceful and democratic change. There's nothing in the transcripts from Dr. Basalart that would support violence in any way.
He's gone to address a meeting of people who are allegedly members of the new IRA. Is your client just naive?
I don't believe Dr. Basalart's naive. I believe that he attended a meeting for political purposes to raise the case of Palestine.
As part of this operation, 9 people have been charged with directing terrorism. They and Dr. Basalart are being held at Northern Ireland's high-security Maghaberry prison, and they'll face a non-jury trial. The man they believe to be their friend, Dennis McFadden, suddenly disappeared before their arrests. He lived in a unionist area of Belfast, but comes from a Catholic family in Glasgow, and CIRU say they've disowned him. McFadden is also believed to have once been a special constable in Scotland. In Belfast, we hear McFadden tried to join a number of Republican groups over the years. Gerry Hodgins is a former member of the Provisional IRA who ended their armed campaign in 2005.
I came across Dennis McFadden probably about 10 or 15 years ago when I was going to protests organised by Irish Republican Prisoners Welfare Association. Dennis would always be along. He would have a camera, taking photographs and doing publicity, and he was always sort of a quiet man in the background.
And you say he was always taking photographs and doing publicity. Is that something he always liked to do?
Yeah, having that sort of skill and being one of the few having that sort of skill, he was centrally positioned to have access to practically everybody within his organisation, and not only have access but to record them on most of the occasions.
We've learnt some Republicans had been raising suspicions about McFadden for years, yet somehow he was still able to infiltrate the upper echelons of CERU.
The fact that this agent was there for so long will be a big blow to the morale of the organisation, and of course it will fuel suspicion that may prove debilitating in terms of going forward, because people will be asking, are there other agents there who are still in place who have yet to be revealed?
From MI5's point of view, Dennis McFadden's infiltration is a success story in thwarting a terrorist operation, and those arguments will play out in court. But McFadden's actions elsewhere are now also coming under scrutiny. Brendan McConville is one of two people convicted in a non-jury trial for the murder of a police officer in 2009.
Forensic experts examined the car in which Constable Stephen Carroll was shot dead.
McConville's family have always maintained his innocence, running a campaign called Justice for the Craigavon 2. In 2013, he appealed his conviction. The family would receive weekly private legal briefings at their home. And Dennis McFadden was there too, as seen in this photo exclusively shared with Channel 4 News. McFadden appears to be uncomfortable at being photographed.
I used to think, like, he's awful good, coming, you know, him from Scotland, and coming over here and trying to, you know, help us. Like, oh, we never suspected, never. And you just wouldn't have. He was so nice.
This MI5 agent had been one of the founders of a campaign group against miscarriages of justice. The family say not only did he access confidential legal information, he was also running their social media campaign and refused to give them the passwords. They showed us an exchange of text messages with him. While we were at the McConville family home, Brendan himself called from prison.
I believe he sabotaged my appeal. I felt that he had a real, genuine concern on justice. Little did I know that it was the hands of MI5.
You know, Brendan, I got to ask you, you have been convicted of killing a police officer.
The conviction is wrong. It's a miscarriage of justice. It had absolutely nothing to do with the events of that night at all.
We contacted MI5 for a response. A UK government spokesperson told us we do not comment on ongoing legal proceedings. Brendan McConville's lawyers have filed a case with the Criminal Cases Review Commission. There is a precedent for a conviction being declared unsafe because of MI5 involvement. Gerry Hodgins had his conviction overturned because evidence used against him was from a double agent codenamed Steak Knife.
It turned out that there was a lot of spies and informers involved and all sorts of stuff. The full reason of why my conviction was overturned and that of my other defendants has never been told to us.
We may never know the full extent of MI5 involvement in cases past and present in Northern Ireland. But with details of this agent's activities only just beginning to emerge, could his unveiling have unexpected consequences?